Also trending today, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is facing more scrutiny after a new report alleges he received more luxury vacations and gifts from wealthy friends than previously reported. Justice Thomas has been caught up in controversy since the allegations that he's been accepting gifts began to surface earlier this year. Manesa Dhanabalan joins us live now with more on this. Hey, Manesa.
Hey, Kelly. This is the U.S. Supreme Court of Justice that we're talking about, so it brings up questions about ethics. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was appointed in 1991. According to ProPublica, which is a nonprofit investigative journalism organization, the gifts Justice Thomas received since then include 38 destination vacations, 34 private jet flights, a dozen VIP passes to sporting events, 2 stays at resorts in Florida and Jamaica, and a standing invitation to an Uber-exclusive golf club. This likely adds up to millions of dollars.
According to the ethics experts, yes, there's violations of financial disclosure laws. He was supposed to report things like private plane trips, expensive sports tickets, because these were not exempt from disclosure.
The allegations against Thomas rose earlier this year when ProPublica reported that he didn't disclose some luxury trips, a house for his mother, and tuition payments he accepted from Texas billionaire Harlan Crow. But now there are 3 more benefactors: David Sokol, Wayne Huizenga, and Paul Tony Novelli. A line from the article reads, ProPublica has not identified any legal cases that Huizenga, Sokol, or Novelli had at the Supreme Court during their documented relationships with Thomas, although they all work in industries significantly impacted by the court's decisions. Thomas has previously said he didn't feel the need to disclose some gifts, but it brings up the question, is it acceptable?
One of the quirks about the American Supreme Court is that the justices don't have a code of ethics, unlike every other judge in the country. And so what Justice Thomas may be doing is unethical, but may not be unlawful, because he conceivably could be following the rules of the Supreme Court, which are more or less non-existent.
Supreme Court justices are expected to report incomes that they receive outside the court, and this includes gifts. But there is an exception for personal hospitality. While luxury trips could be considered as personal hospitality,
it's challenging to see how accepting luxury suites at a football game, for example, falls under the realm of personal hospitality. I think that's certainly not what was intended by the statute. I think there's where Justice Thomas may in fact be running into some legal trouble.
Thomas isn't alone. There were recent allegations against Justice Samuel Alito as well, according to a ProPublica investigation. This comes at a time when support among the public for the U.S. Supreme Court is at an all-time low. And it's surprising to think that U.S. Supreme Court justices don't have a code of ethics.
But for the most part, the Supreme Court polices itself, and it doesn't seem to be doing a good job of policing itself. And this is why we're having a conversation in America about the need for perhaps Congress to step in and pass some sort of ethical standards that Supreme Court justices might have to follow.
With all the controversy, the Senate Judiciary Committee advanced legislation that would mandate a binding ethics code for justices, but it's questionable whether it will become a law due to opposition from Republicans. Experts say these allegations could trigger further investigation by some governmental bodies.